Hello and welcome guys. My name is Hosanna Supra and today we'll be taking a look at Moho 14. I'll be showing you how to animate this scene, how you can create this character in Moho, and how you can animate a scene similar to this one. So with that said, Moho 14 is a powerful 2D animation software designed to help you create stunning animations with ease. It's a vector-based system allowing for precise control over your artwork, making it ideal for both traditional and character animation. With features like advanced rigging, flexible drawing tools, and a streamlined workflow, Moho 14 empowers you to bring your creative vision to life. Whether you're a seasoned animator or just starting out, Moho 14 offers the tools and flexibility to create captivating animations. Alright, in this tutorial guys, we'll be calling it Getting Started. But it's really just a quick tutorial on how to get started on creating a character and beginning to animate that character. And then you can take what you've learned and extrapolate it into what you envision for your own project, for your own 2D animation. Alright, let's get started, guys. Okay, so in Moho, what you're going to want to do when you open it up for the first time or at any point in time is start a new project. And to do that, you click File and you hit New. And then you'll see it right here as Untitled. Alright, you go to File again, you scroll down here to Project Settings, and you're going to want to, unless you want it specifically at a lower resolution, I suggest you leave it or set it to 1080p. Alright, that's a standard uh, dimension that most people work with. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to just give you a quick rundown of the interface. So you have the menu bars at the very top. These words here: File, Edit, Draw, Bone, Animation, Scripts, View, Window, Help. And then you can access any of these things from the menu bar. Not going to get into what those things do or all these features, just here to show you the interface for now. There, alright, so on the left you have the tools, the toolbar. You have these drawing tools here, and you can see to begin drawing you would use either the add point, the freehand, or the draw shape tools. You could use the blob brush as well, but that's a extra tool that is not really necessary to begin creating your work, your artwork. Alright, we have the fill tools area, and these are similar tools to this, except they're like more related to coloring and adding strokes and deleting those particular shapes, etc., etc. The layer panel, you get basic the transform layer, set origin, follow path, rotate layer XY, etc., etc. And in future tutorials, you'll be utilizing more of these tools. So don't worry about any of this right now, okay? And you have your camera tools, your workspace tools, alright? These you would want to use when you're in the animation, and these you'd want to use when you're doing your editing and creating. Alright, so moving on to below is the timeline. Here you can see that it's currently set to 0. When you're on 0, that's where you do all your work. You can draw, you can do all your creation on frame 0. When you drag to frame 1, that's when you're going to want to start animating. Alright, and I'll just show you that similar to, I'll show you what I mean when we start creating a character, okay? So you can delete this, but notice when I press delete, nothing happens. it's because I didn't put this back on frame 0. So you got to work on frame 0. Alright, now moving on, we have the layer panel, and you can create a new layer by hitting the plus icon. These are the different layers you can create. The layer that we're going to be using is a simple vector layer, and it's already got this vector layer here. And above we have the style panel, which basically allows you to choose your colors for your fill, for your strokes. You can set the width of the stroke, and you can choose an effect for your colors. Alright, you can also choose from these different brushes to apply to um, your pencil or mouse when you're drawing. Alright, so that's basically it. That's a basic rundown of the interface. Also, there's a few other things that I didn't mention. For example, if you want to access more of your windows, you can simply go up here and you see everyone that's not checked. You can bring it out when you need it, right? If you don't want it like this, you can do docking, and you can dock it to the right like so. Alright, and these are things you're going to need to learn how to use in future tutorials. We're going to stick to just simply creating a character and basic animation of that character for this tutorial. Alright guys, and that should be it. Alright, so let me take this back off. Alright, nice. Last but not least, if you double click your layer, you'll access the layer settings. For any of the layer that you have here, if you double click it, or if you right click and you go to quick settings, you can access quick settings like such. Alright, but these, in the layer settings, you have the ability to add effects like shadows and motion blur, vector options, and 3D options. Here you can switch from single plane view mode to dual. You can switch the horizontal or vertical. You can do 4 if you like. And this is good for when you have multiple cameras into your scene. And again, this is more intermediate to advanced level. So I will show you something in the future how you can utilize these different workflow with the different multiple views at the same time. For now, stick to the single view mode. And let's get started. First, double click your layer and rename it to lower body. As it's a snowman we're creating, we want to have each part of his body in different layers, and this is how you do it. So you now go to the draw section here of the tools panel, and you select the draw shape, or you can simply use the hotkey, which is S, to select this tool. Then you select the oval, and you make sure to deselect auto stroke and keep autofill. You simply left click and drag to draw, and as you can see, I've drawn a really nice circle, but it's not shaded, it's just flat. That's great for simple cartoons. If you want to add a shaded effect, this is how you do it. You hit the effect panel here in the effect box, and you go to shaded. Then you adjust the light angle and the offset and the blur, and yeah, you can, once you like how it looks on this example, you click OK, and now try drawing that circle again, as you see. So now you decide how you want your style to be. Now this, in my opinion, gives it a better, more refined look, a more 3D-esque look. This is really flat, and it's good for a lot of things, but I personally prefer to use a shaded effect when I'm doing simple 2D animations like this. And it's great that you don't have to actually go in and shade everything manually. So let's delete this. And now we're going to use, whoops, now we using the transform points tool, or T, you just simply click on this, left click, and you drag here to the middle. Alright, and this is lower body. You want to right click on this layer and hit duplicate. Now you're going to name this middle body, and you're going to want to just drag this up a little, and you can make it a little smaller by dragging the transform the this area and left clicking downwards and dragging. That should be good. And you're gonna line them up like, you can make them how you want, your style, your snowman, but I'm gonna leave mine like this. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer again here. Just right click, hit duplicate. I'm going to call this head. Now we're going to drag this up and we're going to make smaller, like so. Alright, we're almost there, guys. Now we create the arms, and to do that you're going to use the add point tool. You're going to make sure auto stroke is selected. These don't need to be. Deselect these. Autofill, auto weld, and sharp corner. You can keep sharp corners. Alright, and you want to deselect shaded, keep it plain. For strokes, that doesn't really affect it from my understanding. And you're going to want to choose a nice brown color here, like such. Since a snowman, sorry, his arm should be made of sticks. Now you simply click using the add point tool, or A, and that's his arm. You press enter and you see it created that stroke. Now I know what you're thinking. That doesn't really look like a. Actually, I made a mistake. It's not brown. I selected the fill to be brown by accident. So I'm sorry about that. Forgive me for that. Alright, let's just redo this. This was white. And yeah, so the stroke is brown. Alright, and we're gonna just select the left click on the eyedropper tool here and come down to this brown right there. And that should be it. Now, using the add point tool, you just simply click to add a point, click again, and click again, and enter. Alright? Now, using the under fill panel, use the line width tool, and you just simply select the middle point and you drag to the right, sorry, to make it a little thicker, like such. Now you can also make this to the shape you want it, to the perspective you want it. Select the whole thing and then drag it closer to the snowman, like such. Now if you think this is too long, you can make it shorter, like that. That should be good. Also, we're not done, so we're going to come down here and we're going to what I did wrong too, what I forgot to do, it's good that I'm making mistakes because it's part of the learning experience for you all. What you're going to do is, as you notice here, you have this arm and the head on the same layer. So I'm just going to select this layer and I'm going to create a new layer vector. I'm gonna name it right arm, and I'm going to go back on the head. I'm going to just Control X, cut this, and paste it into the arm layer, like such. Nice. Alright, so continuing on the arm, on the hands, now we can draw, using this, we can draw another oval, right? I'm gonna make this brown, same color. I'm gonna draw oval right here, like that, just a little circle. I'm gonna rotate this in this direction, like that. Perfect. Alright. I know what you're thinking. That doesn't look like doesn't look like fingers or a snowman's hands, but we'll get there. Hold their horses. Now you go back to the add point tool and you do the same thing again, like this. So according to how many joints you want, that's gonna each point here from here in the middle would be the joint that bends. So if you wanted him to have extra long bendy fingers, you could do that. What you're gonna do is go back to the line width tool and you're going to kind of hold shift and select, actually go to the select points tool and select all the points. Then go back to the line width tool and drag to the left. Alright, so you see here, it's coming along. Using the line width tool or deselect here, then go back to line width and make here a little smaller. So what I like is to just have, I don't like to use all that, just this is good. This is really good for fingers, for a stick hand, right? It's my personal opinion and it works really well for me. So if you prefer to do extra, you're free to try that. Alright, so that's one, and you duplicate this by, well, you copy this, Control C, Control V, you put another one here, you just do it again, you put another one, you can press the button here, flip horizontally to flip it, and you put this one like around here. I know it's not lining up yet, hold on. Yeah, so this is the thumb, and what I have to do is I have to shorten this, and then see it starts to look more like a hand. And what I can do is I can make this a little thicker since it's the thumb, like that. Alright, we're almost there. So what you should practice is keeping your limbs straight for at least until you add bones. Alright, now that this right arm is completed, we can, I wonder if the fingers are too small. It looks really small, doesn't it? So what we could do here is we can select all of this, deselect this one. Well, select these, select, or hold shift, select these, and select this one. Alright, and what you could do Guess we could try to use this to make it a little thicker. Make it a little longer. Alright, nice. Should be good. You select this entire arm and you're gonna Control C, or rather you don't need to copy and paste it. You can just right click the right arm layer, duplicate, then name it to left arm, and then you flip it with the horizontal flip and you drag it over to the left. You left click first and then drag, hold shift and then drag to the left. There you go. Alright, nice. And we're gonna add a new layer here, and we're gonna call this, sorry, I added the wrong layer, that's an image layer, that's a simple vector layer. I'm gonna call this right eye, and we're gonna draw an eye, but we're gonna make it black, the fill, because it's a button, should be black. And the stroke, I guess if we did put a stroke on it, it'd be a little different from the actual color, so you'd see. Let's just see how that looks. My God, there's no stroke here, so nope. There you go. Nice. And you can just do the same thing, duplicate, and turn it into the left eye. You just move it over to the right. And then you do the same thing for the mouth. New layer, vector, mouth. And you can see, draw a shape, circle. I don't want the stroke on the mouth, so I'm gonna take this off. I'm just gonna have it like this. Right, nice. And the nose is the last but not least part. Name it nose. You go up here to fill. You come down to this nice orange color. You come here to the triangle, and you draw a triangle like so. Come down to the transform points tool. Oh, so when you're on this area here, this is the canvas. I forgot to mention that earlier. This is your workspace. So you're gonna right click the mouse and hold and drag to move the entire area around the canvas. You can zoom in with the mouse, zoom in and out, scroll in the mouse, and you can select points and objects with the left click So this is what you want. And that doesn't look exactly as it should, but using the curvature tool, you just select a point and you make a curve by dragging to the left clicking and dragging to the right. And here you can curve this too. You don't want it to be too pointy. Right? You bring this in a little, bring this out. And there you go. You've got a nose. You could add a shaded effect to it if you like, but I'm going to keep this like that. And there you have it, guys. Your first snowman in Moho 14. And you don't need Moho 14 to create this. You can use any version. You can even use Anime Studio if you're still using that. I'm just using that version of Moho, so that's why I said Moho 14. Alright, and you can organize this layer section a little easier by selecting all of these and putting them into a folder called a group. So let's do that. Let's create a group layer, and it's called layer 10. So we're gonna name that Snowman, and we're gonna just drag all of these, select them, and drag them up into Snowman like that. And you see now if I select Snowman, all gets toggled on and off. Right? Nice. Now we can start rigging our character. That's the first part of character design is finished. Congratulations. If you're following along with me up to this point, congratulations. Here you can begin adding bones to this character from clicking the add layer, new layer, and selecting bone. Call it Snowman Bone. Alright, and now you see the tools have changed when you're on the bones layer. So now you can, this is the select bone and this is the add bone tool. Here you have something called sketch bones. That's really good for long limbs like tails and such, or ropes. We'll get into this later on, but for now stick to this. So click the add bone, or you can press A, and you're going to come down here to the bottom of your snowman, and you're going to from the center left click and drag to the right. Right, that's the first bone you've created. As you can see, it's called B1. You could name your bones if you like, or you can leave it in this structure. Alright, so then you're gonna, while this bone is still selected or highlighted red, you just left click here and drag up to about the beginning of this shape, the middle part of the body. Then you do the same, you left click and drag up till the head, and then you do the same, left click and drag up till the top of the head. Now you can, what I like to do is I like to create in shoulder bones. So selecting, using the select bone or pressing B, select this middle bone and then add bone, then you drag to the right till you see you reach the tip of the shoulder, the arm. Alright, nice. You do the same thing again. What you could do, instead of selecting this, sorry, no, you have to select this and then select the bone. My bad, I got mixed up. You go to the plus bone again. After you selected the middle bone, you drag, do the same thing to this side. Alright, so While we're still on this side, you could have done it here, but I didn't. So while we're here, you just do the same thing here to the elbows and then to the wrist. And from here, you can do one straight across like so to there and then there. And then coming back to this part, selecting that part, you add a bone like so and so. Again, you can, to avoid clicking this, you can simply hold Alt and then left click the bone you want to select. And as you can see here, it's not lined up properly, this with the artwork, so we might encounter some issues there when trying to animate, so it's best we fix that. And to do that, you just simply go back into your snowman, into the arm layer, and you move this a little bit down. Nice, like that. You go back up now to the bone. You can use the control or transform bone to rotate the bone a little. Alright, that should be okay. Now that you have this side set up, you can go do the same thing on this side, continuing from here. So Alt, left click this bone, then left click and drag to there, left click and drag, left click and drag to the wrist, or the palm rather. Then you do the same here as you did before. Oh, I pressed Z by accident and it shows this, or sorry, S. This is the strength of the bones. You don't want to use that right now. You have to remove all the bone strength for what we're about to use it for, or to do. Alright, so add one last bone for the thumb. And that should be it. Should fix this part here like we did before, the arm. So let's go there. It's the right arm. This should come down a little more. Alright, nice. So there we have it, guys. You've successfully rigged your first character, or your snowman character in Moho. What we're gonna do is go back to the bone strength, that same tool I was showing you earlier, and you're gonna just simply use this, select all bones, and then go to the bone strength, and then drag, left click and drag to the left to remove the strength on all bones to 0, as you can see here. Now we bind the bones to the actual object of the snowman. So give yourself a round of applause for reaching this far. You're almost there for creating your first character, or your snowman character. What you're gonna do now is simply drag this folder into the bone layer like that. Now I want to show you, if you do this, you see the bone alone moves, nothing actually moves with it. But you could see that the skeleton is attached properly and functioning as should. Alright? Make sure if you're following along, make sure all of your limbs are on your bones, are able to do what I'm doing here. Alright, nice. What you're gonna do, you can set it back to default by simply hitting this tool here or clicking 0 on the timeline. What you're gonna want to do now is go to the lower body, and here under the bone section you see this select bone and manipulate bones. These tools, you're gonna go to bind points. You're gonna use that. Alright, so let's get started. You select this bone and you're gonna bind this bone to the lower body. So you select all points, and now you go back to the bind points, right? Using, it's already selected, so you can, right? So once this is selected, this bone and all these points that you wanted to bind to are selected, you hit this bind points button, and now it's bound. And you use this tool to manipulate bones, and you can see the lower body is now bound to the lower part of the skeleton. Alright, if I move this, you see it's not affecting the lower part. Alright, nice. So, moving on, we go to middle body, select all points, using bind points tool, select this bone, select all points here, and then bind. Do the same, test it one time, make sure it's working, good. You continue onwards to the top, to the head, select this bone, and then you select these points with the select bind points tool, and then bind. Alright, and then you test it. Great. Notice the eyes and nose and mouth not moving. We'll fix that in a second. Alright, this is just the basic of creating a character. I'll go in depth a little further in the next tutorial on fleshing out this character even better and adding, eye blinks, open, closed mouth. Maybe we'll even do some head turns and body turns in the next tutorial. All right. So stay tuned for that. If you want, you can hit the bell icon and be notified as soon as a new video gets released. Thank you. And if you've enjoyed this tutorial so far, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to my channel, as it will do so much in helping me grow and reach more friendly animators out there. Okay, so you're gonna want to bind the arm bones to the arms. Next, go to the right arm, select this bone, select bone tool, select the shoulder, sorry, not the shoulder, the arm bone here. Select these points, hit bind, test. There you go, it's working. Moving on, select this bone, select these points and hit bind. You can test it. Alright, nice. Moving on. Select this bone and you're gonna bind it to these points. Hit bind, and then you select this bone and bind it to this last point. Sorry, here. Hit bind. You can test it. And there you have your thumb, all working, looking good. Next, you go to this bone and you bind it to these points. Hit bind, move down here, select this bone, you bind it to this last point, you hit bind, test it. Great, it's working. Do the same thing for the last finger. Select, bind, points, select, bind, points, test. Great. See guys, it's coming along. Just bear with me. Moving on, we select this bone and we bind it to, you switch to the left arm now. We bind it to these points. We select this bone, bind it to those points. Right, nice. Select this bone. You want to bind it to these points. Right, everything's coming along. Select this bone. You bind it to these points. Select this bone. Bind it to this point. Test it. Nice. Just this last one and we're good to go. Bind to these bones. Select. Bind to this point. Nice. Now you have rigged your snowman. Good job. Give yourselves a pat on the back. You have done a great job so far. We're almost there. Just going back to the head. What we're gonna do for the head is we're gonna bring these layers closer by simply shift clicking the ones we want here and dragging them down to around where the head is. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create another group. Call this head. And just drag all of these into it. the parts related to the head, right? Nice. Let's just That's just to organize it even better for when you're doing more advanced animating stuff, alright? Just setting up your character in the proper layer order is very, very good practice. Alright, so just simple. We're not doing anything different. Same thing we've been doing. We're just going to bind all these points to the head bone so it stays on the head when the head moves. Alright, guys? Nothing new. Select the head bone, bind points, select the nose, hit bind, go on to the mouth, hit, since the head bone's already selected, and the mouth bone's already selected, hit bind, hit the left eye, select it, hit bind, hit the right eye, it's already selected, select it, hit bind, hit and that should be it. Let's just test it out. And there you have it, guys. Your character is now fully functioning and ready to animate. Okay, and what you could do is actually create another bone for the nose to be able to move it up, down, left, right. So I'll do that really quick just to give him a little more depth to the character. Alright, so just real quickly come back out here to nose. Oh, sorry, go up to bones, hit add bone. This bone's already selected, just do so, and take off the strength, like hitting this, and remove it, sliding it to the left, alright, and same thing as before, we're gonna bind the nose to the nose bone. So click on the nose layer, and it's already selected, everything's already selected, hit bind. I'm gonna select this bone here, make sure, and select these. Alright, now I'm gonna hit bind. Alright, there we go. So now the nose is is animatable. Alright, great. And you could add bones and stuff to the eyes to make them open, blink, and close. Like I said, I'll show you all of that in the next tutorial. Alright, for now we're gonna keep this basic so you can start animating this character. And we're gonna start animating him, so you move to frame 1 on the timeline. Alright, and this is simple tools. The transform layer, you're gonna want to make sure your bone snowman layer is selected. Make him smaller, like this, so he's all the way in the background. You can make him up, bring him up like about that height. Alright, so he's in the background. You can make him even smaller if you like. He's really in the background. Then you notice 2 keyframes were already created here when I did that, when I dragged him. When I dragged him, it automatically created these frames. So what you can do now is go to the amount of seconds you want. So from 1 to 24 is 1 second. This would be 2, this would be 3, this would be 4, and this would be 5 seconds. So go to 5 seconds. I'm going to see how fast it moves when we drag him out. Now make it bigger. So he's sliding straight towards the camera. You don't want him too big, but you could also drag him down a little, like so. But because I didn't click on that from the first frame, I'm going to do that now. And I click on that. Now you can drag him down a little with this tool, like that. And if you press play, this is, let's go to let's double click this. Select here, hit 120 because that's the amount of frames we're working with, from 1 to 120 on the timeline. Hit enter. Now press spacebar to preview this. So you see he's coming in and he slows down. Nice. So what you want to do is, let's see if it looks better if we speed it up a little. Select these two keyframes and drag them lower down. So he'll move a little faster. Alright, that should be good. Now, while we're animating this guy, we want the arms to move a little. We want to give him that little sway from left to right so he's not looking too stiff. So I'd say from half a second, you could give him a little body nod. First, good practice before you start clicking different bones is to select all bones first, and that way you know it creates a keyframe for those bones on the layer before. And I'll give you an example. So we don't want this to happen. We want him to move, and we don't want the movement to happen too soon or too late. We want it to be at the precise time that we want. So on the keyframe, you have to set that. Alright? So as he moves towards the camera, every 1 second, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give him a little nod to the left, and you'll see he's leaning to the left from a straight position. He begins to sway to the left. Alright, now every second he does that, so bring him to the right. So you see it's starting to come together. Alright, he does it again. And he can straighten back out on on frame 84. And you can preview this. So now the arms, we want the arms to move. When you're animating, a good rule of thumb is when you have one motion happening on one side of your body, it's usually the case is the opposite action is happening on the other side of your body. So it gives that good, fluid, full body motion, utilizing the entire character. Alright, nice. And then we do the same thing here, but in the opposite way. And you can repeat that for this as well. Doing it like so. I didn't go directly on frame 72, so it made the keyframes here, so I'm just going to select those and drag them onto frame 72. Right, now move back on to frame 72 and continue. We could test this out. Nice. And you can bring his arm back up if you wanted. So he's just click here, click here. And he can wave. If it's happening too fast, just select here and drag it out a little. Nice. And he just simply goes back and forth, waving. And if I forgot to show you, there's this feature called onion skinning, where it'll select the character's last movement, so you can see exactly. And this is better when you're doing frame by frame, so you can get that follow-up frame perfectly. You don't really need it for this, but it's there. You can use it if you like. And that's it. And now we're going to extend this back a little because we don't want only 120 frames. We want it to be at least 200 frames maybe, because we're going to add the last movement to it. So he's going to just simply put his arms down. Right, let's say 150. He's going to put his arms down.
Note: due
Like
to an
this.
issue while recording, the full video did not save. Fret not, I have created two separate video tutorials called rigging a snowman and animating a snowman, which will be made available to you.